Stress. If you are low on energy as a modern day man, you are struggling to physically get up and get through the day, but you do it anyway. But you're also struggling with mental and emotional energy, the energy of negative thoughts, the energy of feeling unwell, feeling burnt out, feeling broken down. Then that all comes down to this thing called stress. And stress is amazing. It's what makes us successful. Stress and pressure create diamonds, but they can also cause heart attacks, cancer, and the breakdown of relationships. And so many successful men rely on this stress to move forward and get results in life. But that's probably the worst thing you can do. In today's podcast episode, we're going to talk about what causes stress, how to overcome it, and ultimately how to live a life where you're able to switch off and be present with your family while also being successful in the business or career. So if you live a life of stress, if you want to be successful in your health, wealth, and relationships without all the pressure and stress, chasing success without the pressure and stress, then you're going to want to listen to this episode where we dive deep into how to overcome this crazy thing we all go through. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. All right, so today we're going to be talking about stress.
Awesome.
Stress for modern day men, stress as a business owner, stress as a husband. Stress. How's your stress level on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm probably at about an 8 right now.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Is that good or bad?
That's not great.
Okay. Yeah. So 10 is like, I'm about to have a stroke. I can feel the blood pumping in my head.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. I can feel the blood pumping in my head. It's like tension in my body. It's this angst. It's this pressure, like, And then 0 is like, I've smoked 17 kilos of weed and I'm sitting on a beach simply in mojito. Now, not everyone listening has smoked weed, but let's just say you're just super relaxed. Like nothing can faze you. So you're an 8?
I'm probably, okay, I'm about a 7.
Okay, cool.
I don't feel like I'm near a stroke, but yeah. You know,
but you're getting there.
Yeah, like, you know, when you have those moments where you, like, because obviously what we do is we track how we feel every single day. You know, we journal and we go deep into how we feel. I'm noticing that, you know, I'm like, there's certain things I'm like, that's a warning sign that I'm tired. And, you know, as you know, I'm going on leave next week, and, you know, I was thinking back, and I haven't had a holiday as such since June last year. So for me, that's like, okay. Yep. Cool. That's been a while. So it explains why I feel stressed. It explains why, I go downstairs and see things around the house. I'm like, like, I've got to get that done as well. I've got to get that done. Even notice just changes in my language, got to, have to, should, all those not so helpful words coming out. And, for me, they're warning signs, but I think one of the great things we have is to be able to track that and be aware of it rather than, I'm in hospital with having had a stroke and I wasn't aware. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We'll dive deep into that today. So I reckon we'll talk about the different ways you can deal with stress. We'll talk about what's currently stressing us out today. And then we'll give everyone listening some practical strategies for dealing with it. For reference as well, it's July 29th, 2022, and you haven't had a break since June. So one of the things I implemented this year for the first time in my life was quarterly breaks, taking a week off every quarter, which, we'd recommend for you as well, especially you're in the business with us, but you need time off. The last quarterly break I had was 4 weeks ago, and it wasn't a break. I was grinding for like 12 weeks straight, and I was happy to grind. And I was like loving the problems and the challenges and the game of business. I was focusing on the positives. A negative would come my way and I would just let it float away like a balloon, or I would park it. And then I had this break and I was sick the entire time. I was vomiting. I had gastro from my daughter and my wife. And then I was really stressed. I had body aches. I was sick. So I didn't really have a break. And that has flowed on for me to now, 4 weeks later, which coincides with my testosterone therapy. There must be some sort of link where I've just been like immensely stressed the last 4 weeks. I'm talking like 2 weeks ago, I'm in my garage working out and I'm just like, oh my God, I feel so fucking stressed. And obviously, like, we coach men on this, so I'm very aware of what's in my body, but it's this tension. And then coinciding with that, I've been feeling like my blood pressure is really high. If you're not aware of what that feels like, it's like I can feel my heartbeat in my head. I can feel it on the sides of my head. I can feel it in my throat, and I can feel it in my chest. And it's to the point where if I lay on my left side in bed, I can't lay on my left side because I can feel my heartbeat. It's like bad.
Yeah.
And I track my my heart rate on my Aura ring, and my average nightly heart rate's like 52 and minimum 47-ish. Minimum's now like 53 and average is like 60. So not to confuse everyone, like that's a big jump in health. So I don't know if it's the TRT. I think it's a combination of the TRT, running too much and pushing myself too hard, and then the stress of business. So we'll break that down today. First things first, let's talk about awareness of stress. So I'm hyper aware of how stressed I am because I do this for a living, but most men are not aware of how stressed they are. So we'll give these guys some strategies that we use, even though we're fucking stressed. But let's talk about what stress feels like. Also, like up until this morning, I was a 9 out of 10. Like I was going to have a fucking
I was going to ask you what you were.
Yeah. Well, last night I had a proper sleep for the first time in 4 weeks. I felt refreshed this morning.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sleep's huge. And Rosie went out last night, which she hasn't done in months, with some friends. And I looked after Talia and bathed her. And I had some big realizations yesterday around stress. I'm like, what's the point of making money and helping people and running a business if I have a fucking heart attack? You know, Rosie, we're going to talk about this in the potty, but Rosie said something really hurtful this week, not intentionally, but she said, why don't we just live it? Like, what's the point of living together if we continue like this? And I was like, shit, that adds to the stress. So we'll break that down. But yeah, I was a 9 up until this morning. I'm probably like a 7 now. But I feel like as a high operator, I'm always under stress. I sort of like feed off of it, which is great, but it's so destructive.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. And like you say, there's so many men that are just unaware of it.
Yeah. Like stress is a fight or flight response. So it's like when you go to the gym, you put stress on your bicep, it gets bigger. But if you're constantly under stress, your physiology, like literally your body's like fighting and running, and that wreaks havoc on your hormones, your energy, your sleep, your fat loss, your muscle building, and it wreaks havoc on your productivity and focus, your erections, your triggers. So we'll get into all of that in the pod. So yeah, like what does stress feel like for you? Like what are the symptoms of stress for you?
It's a great question. Like I think, do you know, I don't know if you know, but when you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're in this unrested state, it's kind of like, did I even sleep? Like we you know, we're both parents, we're both dads. Like, you know, those nights where it's all broken sleep with a child and stuff, and you do feel elements of stress. But even when you've slept 8 hours or something, and you're just like, I don't feel like I feel worse than I did when I went to bed. And so for me, that's a warning sign. One of the things though that happens in my body when I get stressed, like 8, 9 out of 10, is I get a twitch in my eye. And you can't see it, but I feel it. Do you? Yeah. I feel it.
On my left eye.
Okay. Yeah, my left eye too. And I feel it and I go, oh, okay. Time to slow down.
Fuck, that's crazy. So that's not just me. I thought I was like having a stroke. So that's the thing. Like your body gives you all these warning signs, man. And then the reason the heart attacks and divorces happen is because we ignore them.
Yeah.
How often do you go to the doctor?
Realistically, like if I need to, like it's not a consistent thing. Like I went a few months ago, I had some bloods done and stuff. But other than that, you know, if I'm sick, like quite sick, then sure, but not consistently.
I mean, no offense to doctors, but they're pretty useless. Like they just give you a pill and tell you to leave. Most of them, you know, it's a generalization. The reason I ask is because we knew a guy, my family friend, who was having a heart attack while smoking and drinking with my dad. And he's like, got all this chest pain. And my dad's like, why don't you go to a doctor? He's like, oh, she'll be right. And then the heart attack lasted another day and he was rushed to hospital. And I feel like I'm not like that. I'm a hypochondriac, but most men just sweep physical symptoms under the rug, right?
Yeah.
Like they could literally be having stabbing pain or tingly fingers or eye twitches and go, yeah, nah, mate, she'll be right. It's like, no, she won't be right, mate. You know, it's okay to fucking get help. So, okay, you get the twitch in your eye, you feel unrested. What else?
I even notice it in my digestion. Like I'll wake up and I'll feel almost bloated to a point. Like you just feel like don't feel great. I mean, I could eat really well, like it, you know, but when there's stress there, like doesn't matter. Like you wake up and you feel that sluggish, that everything feels like a chore, a bit more short fused, you know, get triggered easier. Yeah. They're probably a lot of my signs. Yeah.
Definitely relatable. So for me, it's yes, I feel less rested. I find it harder to sleep. And I also find it hard to switch off. So like before I had a daughter, I could go to the beach and just lay there for like an hour tanning in the sun. I love the beach. For me to sit anywhere for like 10 minutes and not be thinking about stuff is pretty challenging. The only time I can do that is when I'm meditating, and that's like a conscious effort to not think. But like when I'm working out, thinking about stuff. So I find it hard to switch off. And one that came up a lot this week, the last few weeks, is I get way more triggered. So it's like I feel this tension and this angst. I know it's happening. I breathe really shallow. So my breathing goes like... and I don't breathe into my balls. And then people laugh at that, but it's really true. Like breathe into your balls. And then I'm more reactive. Like I'm go, 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 go. And it's not intentional, but I'm shorter with everyone. So we had our family here for Talia's first birthday. And like they'd ask me a question. I give them 1-word answers. And I'd go downstairs, have a chat for 5 minutes, straight back to work. And I think that stress comes from like this idea that things need to be done. And they have to be done. They should be done. So we talk about this in Empowered Man with our clients. It's like, we must debate all over ourselves. I must get this done today. If I don't, I failed. And then you get heaps done and you're like, it wasn't good enough. And then like, I should do this today. I need to. Right? And you're shooting all over yourself and you're masturbating all over yourself. And there's just masturbation jizz everywhere and shit everywhere. And it's like smeared on the walls, but it's true, right? It's like, it's like, there's this pressure. All right, cool. So you feel triggered. I feel triggered. We feel more tired, digestion, and we struggle to switch off. Those are the main symptoms of stress. Do you ever get chest pain or like any like physical symptoms like anxiety?
Sometimes chest pain, anxiety, probably only within the last, year, when things in life have been extra challenging. But that's probably, I guess now my body's become aware of that. It's now, the chest feels a bit, I don't think that's a heart attack. Do you know what I mean? Like you just go, I don't think that's a heart attack, but that's not, I don't know that that's meant to be happening right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then even sometimes this pressure, like you talked about before, the pressure, you feel your heartbeat in your head. Yep. Like you just, this headache, this sort of stress headache, it just lingers as well.
It like goes around your head. It's like sometimes it feels like your head's going to explode and you know that logically it won't. There's that movie Kingsman. Have you seen Kingsman?
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal movie and all their heads pop at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. Cool. So this is how we feel stress. And then as men, we don't, especially when we're successful, we wear this mask. And it's funny, right? Because it's so obvious we're stressed. Everyone who loves us and knows us can see it. But we pretend like it's not happening. And the reason we do that is because we're wearing a mask, pretending like we're strong.
Yeah.
So I'm fine. I'm okay. Yet we're coping, right? So two things I want to talk about, and then we'll talk about solutions. The first one is how it impacts the people we care about, and then the destructive ways to deal with it. Okay. So I'll start us off like, this week, the last 4 weeks, like I said, I've been super stressed. I think this story will resonate with a lot of people. Rosie's also been super stressed and overwhelmed. Literally just this morning, like 5 minutes before we started this podcast, she broke down and said, like, when does it end? It's all too much. And I'm like, fuck, like I want to support her. And I've got this meeting with you booked to do a podcast. So she's really overwhelmed. And she snapped at me 3 times in a day, a few days ago. And the first time she apologized, the second time she did it, the third time she was in the shower. I was like, hey, babe. And she's like, what? And I snapped. I reacted, right? And my response was, don't speak to me like that. And I said it in a loud, angry voice. Now, I didn't scream or yell, but I definitely raised my voice louder than I normally do. And I said, I'm going for a walk. And I went for a walk around the block. And when I came home, as soon as I came home, I was thinking about it. I apologized. I said, I'm sorry for my behavior. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just really under a lot of pressure, which is, by the way, something most men probably struggle with, right? To even go that far. That's taken me a long time. Anyway, that was a reaction. Second thing I did yesterday, I did a live video in our group calling out a client who I thought was ignoring us. And he messaged me saying he really wasn't happy with the video and he's probably going to not be a client anymore, which really fucking hurts because I want to help this guy. And I fucked that up. So there's 2 examples of me feeling this internal pressure and stress. And in one instance, I'm probably going to lose a client and fuck the money. It's worth $15,000, $20,000. I don't care about that. I've lost a friend and a brother. And then more importantly with Rosie, she held on to that moment for like 2 or 3 days. And then yesterday I was again stressed. 2 days ago, I was stressed and I was very short with her all day. So I came downstairs once again at the end of the day. I reflected, I used the tools and I said, I'm sorry for my behavior. And she said a few minutes later, well, if we're going to carry on like this, we might as well not live together. And my daughter is getting fed by her. So I'm thinking like, are you what? I don't know if anyone here can relate. I don't know if you can relate because obviously you and Holly and what's going on there with your divorce, separation. But it felt like somebody grabbed my balls, squeezed them really hard while punching me in the gut, while punching me in the face, while ripping my balls off and shoving them down my throat. Like it's hard to explain the feeling. It wasn't like that, but I'm just trying to trying to accentuate pain. So when she said that, I went silent for like 10 minutes. I didn't say a word. And I was just staring at her and I was staring at my daughter and I'm running through stories in my head like, is my daughter going to be raised in a broken home? Is my wife falling out of love with me? Just story after story. And at a certain point she says, so what do you think? And I'm like, I'm trying my best to understand your point of view, but I'm really angry right now. I'm just angry that you would say that. I'm angry that you would even consider that. And we worked through it, we worked through it and we became stronger for it, I hope. But in reality, I wasn't angry at her. I was angry at myself because I've obviously contributed to that. And this is so hard to do for me and as a man because I want to blame her for saying it, but she wouldn't say it if she was feeling loved, appreciated, supported, understood. And the story that came up for me, which I think a lot of men can relate to, is you have no idea how hard I'm working. Like the pressure that I feel, I said it to her, I was like, I don't think you understand the pressure I feel every single day trying to provide for you. We had Talia's birthday the other day. It cost us $3,000 to pay for everything. That money doesn't come out of thin air. And I'm expecting her to understand me, but she clearly doesn't feel understood. And I think that's part of the stress as men. It manifests as hurting people. We react. There's a point to the story. And we can be calm and present as a man for like a month, and one reaction can fuck everything up. And it's not fair, is it? Like I can be patient and calm for 3 snaps, and then if I snap back, now I'm the bad guy. I can be calm and patient with all my clients. I make one video, I lose the client. It just takes one moment of snapping, and that's why it's so important to have this shit under control.
That's
because if we don't, like it can cause marriages to break down, We become, and I think it comes from, gone.
So we become like these ticking time bombs. We're just, and as a result, like other people, they can read it, especially those that 100%. Know us more intimately and love us. They're like walking on eggshells, and we're just, they're waiting for us to just have that moment of point of no return where we just blow up or shut down completely or whatever it is. And, you know, in that moment, we feel powerless, but out of control as well. It's just, that ripple
and then you feel guilty afterwards, like, because you know that you fucked up. Like, as soon as I yelled, I was like, I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what you feel, because now you've hurt someone. And like, it's crazy how that one moment that comes from stress can cause so much damage. And it's really not fair when you think about it, because then the people that you love latch onto that instead of all the good things you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, your wife goes like, you're not doing these things. And, you know, so the point of the story was really the idea that the reason I lashed out isn't because of her snapping at me. It's because in that moment I lost control, and I lost control because I'm under so much pressure. But this is the crazy thing. That pressure doesn't come from anyone or anything else except me. I can say she's putting pressure on me to provide, and I can say it's because of Talia, my daughter, but it's not. And I think that's the realization I had is, so that the first question was like, how do we hurt people? And then how do we cope? My way of coping was always alcohol and drugs, but I don't do that anymore. So like, I don't really have an outlet. I've got exercise and meditation, but like sometimes that doesn't do the trick.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, legend, if you're getting value from this podcast, then you're going to love our Empowered Man 7-Day Challenge. Inside, we've taken some of the best content our clients invest thousands of dollars for to change their lives, and we've given it to you in the course of 7 days. This challenge is worth over $3,000, and you can get it for $37, 97% off. Inside, we'll teach you how to fix your marriage and relationships and reconnect with your partner, your kids, your wife. We will teach you how to take back your time, how to take back your power, get into powerful routines, and how to take control of your life. Take control of your mind, take control of your business, take control of your health, take control of your wealth. Sounds too good to be true, but there's a complete money back guarantee. So if you're enjoying this podcast, go to elitebusinessman.com/challenge. That's elitebusinessman.com/challenge. It's going to be in the call notes as well, and you'll be able to register for this challenge that will completely change your life. So yeah, I'd love to know from you, like when you got stressed, I know we have different sort of lifestyles, but how would it manifest in terms of hurting people, whether it was you or yourself, and like what were some destructive patterns of dealing with it? I know for you it was eating, but yeah.
Yeah, eating was a huge one for me. Like, you know, over many, many years, just that would feel good. It would feel empowering. It wouldn't be able to disappoint. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, and then you feel, you know, 10 minutes later, you feel terrible about yourself. You go even further down the downward spiral, and then it manifests in other ways. You're short fused. Like I find with myself, when I'm extra stressed, I'm short fused. My tolerance level. I used to be the most tolerant person externally. You would never know that I was struggling or finding things challenging. Now, as I get older, my tolerance level for crap is just, it's not like it used to be. And I think that's good. However, one of the things that I get to be in control of is how I react in those moments, you know, and I'm not always perfect at that. And, you know, if there's people around, you know, it's very easy for me in those moments of stress to want to withdraw, or if they get too much in my face to want to lash out, or even to not lash out to them, but to walk away, to get into my own space and have this monologue, I guess, you know, with myself to just, you know, and whinge and complain. It doesn't serve me either. Yeah. It doesn't hurt them, but it doesn't help me at all. So food, negative self-talk was a huge one for me. They're probably the main ones. And then, you know, reacting in the heat of the moment, just being this ticking time bomb and blowing up. And in that moment, you're just like, I can't undo that.
Yeah, it's Kilimanjaro. It's like a fucking volcano, and you just blow your top.
Yeah.
And then instantly you know what you did. But then there's also an element of ego that's like, can't apologize right away. Because like I fucked up, but like if I admit I fucked up, then I really fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's this vicious cycle. And then, you can't take it back. Like we say so many crazy things in the heat of the moment. What's really amazing about relationships is that you can't have an argument if one person's calm. it can't last. There's only so much someone can berate you while you're like, okay. And this doesn't mean you get walked over. It just means that you're in control. Because, if you're calm and impatient, that gets passed on to your partner. All right, cool. So you have very similar to me. You get triggered, it comes out, it hurts people, and then you also isolate. I think that's a big one. Yeah. Is the whole, like, no one understands. Like, I think Rosie and I are a great example of that. She doesn't feel understood for being a mother. You know, the lack of sleep, how exhausted she is. Like, I try my best to understand, but she has no way to understand the pressure that I'm under, you know? And then the solution is like, oh, well, then I'll go to work. Like, you don't have to work so hard. It's like, no, you don't get it. Like, whether you're making money or not, the pressure to be a man is still there. Yeah. Like, I think any father can relate to this. It's like, as soon as you have that kid, most fathers, not deadbeats, you're like, I just want the best for this kid. And, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. But that can be destructive, you know? Yeah. Especially with social media and shit, because you see people with Lamborghinis and happiness and money, and you're like, I'm not good enough. There's so many elements to this stress. Comparison, man, it's a thief of joy. So, I think a lot of guys will be able to relate to this and maybe not be vulnerable enough to put their hand up. But if you're one of those guys, like, understand it's okay. Like, you're allowed to be stressed, but then if you're drinking or taking drugs or watching porn or scrolling on your phone, it's like putting a Band-Aid on the stress. Yeah. So, like, it's still there, but you just can't see the wound anymore. But it's still there. And it also doesn't heal with the Band-Aid on there, right? When you rip the Band-Aid off and it's exposed to fresh air, it heals, but it's ugly. Yeah. You know, and it might be like rancid and it might be infected and it's fucking painful. But that would be the first thing I'd say as the tool, is to, like, admit to yourself and admit to other people that you're feeling an immense amount of pressure and stress. Yeah. Like, it's so hard to be able to say to your partner, and by the way, this can cause problems because they don't want to hear it all the time. It's a balancing act. That's right. But just be like, look, like, instead of going downstairs and blowing up or drinking, hugging your wife and be like, you know what? I'm really stressed right now. And I don't expect you to fix it. It's not your job. I just want to tell you where my head's at. Because, like, what I want to do right now is drink again. But I also want to, like, share my emotion with you, because as a man, sometimes I feel immense amount of pressure. Like, do you know how fucking powerful that is to say that to your partner? Oh, it's huge. Yeah. Yeah. Because then you don't have to carry the weight. So admitting it to yourself, admitting it to your partner, maybe even your children. Like, imagine teaching children at, like, 8 years old, like, daddy's had a really challenging day. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to have challenging days, Bobby, you know?
I do it with Luca. You know, he's 4 and, you know, there's these moments where, but he's very, very intuitive, and, you know, he'll observe how I respond to something, and, you know, he'll ask me a question. He's great. He's going to make a great coach one day. He'll ask me questions, but, you know, there's many moments where, you know, I've been short fused. I'm like, just not now, you know, whatever it is. And those moments where I can go, look, I can sweep it under the rug and just go back in the room and pretend everything's all good. And I teach him that behavior, which helps nobody in the long run. Or I can own it, which is uncomfortable, yet it teaches him to do the same. And so I get down on his level, and what we do, we hold both hands at the same when we're talking. We hold both hands, and I say, hey, the way that daddy responded then wasn't really helpful, was it? And he said, you know, he'd say, like, no, or we'd have a conversation, and I say, look, I'm just feeling a bit tired, or I'm just feeling a bit stressed, or I just got frustrated when you weren't listening to me, and, you know, I own it. And then, you know, the other day when he made a poor decision, and, you know, there's a consequence attached to that, which, you know, every kid's nightmare. The consequence was you don't get a Kinder Surprise. And rather than blow up, he realized that the things that he said and did in that moment weren't okay. And I was blown away by his response when I said, you know, I know, like, chocolate is his world. And yeah, I'm working on that. But when I said that to him, that there was going to be no Kinder Surprise, I'll never forget that look. But he looked at me and he just went, okay. And then he started, I get emotional because he's just so cute, but he then started to get emotional, but he was really like trying to own it. And then he ran up to me and he says, I just want Daddy. And he just burst into tears in my arms, and we hugged, and he cried, and we talked about it. And he said, you know, I know, you know, I'm sorry for what I said and what I did. And I said, but you understand there's a consequence. And he said, yes. It was just amazing. Whereas, you know, you can just sweep it under the rug, pretend that nothing happened. And I'm not teaching him anything apart from what's really unhelpful.
Yeah. Well, that's what most parents do, is they make a mistake because they're human. Like, you're going to yell sometimes, you're going to snap, you're going to have shitty days. It's about, when that happens, owning it and then redirecting it, and like not sweeping it under the rug, like shining a floodlight on it.
Yeah.
It's like, babe, I raised my voice at you. That's not okay. It's fine. And then 3 days later, what's the point of living together? Well, the point is that, like, we work on this as a couple. You know, yell at your kid and hold his hands and go, look, I that was not okay. You know, when that happens, it's because I'm angry, and that's not an excuse. And I get to own that. And your son's like, oh, okay. Because you and I wouldn't be doing stress and triggers the way we currently are if we had that from our fathers. And the reason our fathers didn't teach us is because they weren't taught. So every single day we get to break the cycle.
Yeah.
And you could listen to this and learn this and live this and breathe this, and you could still fuck it up from time to time.
Of course.
It's in those moments that you own it. So the first stage is owning it. It's like, guess what? I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm under pressure, and that's okay. Like, pressure makes diamonds. The second step is then sort of like bringing awareness to what that actually means, because most of us don't actually know. So, you know, you could do this at home, is like, write a list of what you feel when you're stressed. Like, you can close your eyes and just go, you know, I feel this tension in my shoulders. I feel this like knot in my throat and my chest. I feel hunched over. I feel anxious. I feel really angry and bitter. Like, as men, we carry a lot of anger. It's massive. And just identifying what are the feelings physically inside of your body, and what are the thoughts, what are the things you're focusing on. So step one is like, admit you're stressed and share it without fucking unloading. Just be like, look, I'm stressed, and that's not okay. Not that that's not okay, and that's okay, but my behavior isn't. You yell at your wife, you get into an argument. You know what, babe, my behavior is not okay, and it doesn't excuse my behavior. I'm just really stressed, and I've got to learn how to deal with that. That's radical ownership. Step two, figure out what that actually means. Like, what does it feel like? What are you focusing on? What are the things you're doing? What are the things you're focusing on each day? You're focusing on the negatives and how hard it is and how you don't have enough time and how you need to, you have to, you should, you must. Once you've got the awareness of the thoughts and feelings, I reckon the next stage is, step three, is to try and reframe them mentally. So like, you don't need to get the work done today. Now, people might listen to this and go, well, no, Tony, I do. I've got a project that's due. And it's like, yeah, you do. But like, what if it wasn't done today? Would the world end? And you go, yes, it would. No, the person you're doing it for would get pissed off and angry, but the world wouldn't end. Yeah. And it's like this story that we tell ourselves that we have to, like, what is stress when you think about it mentally? It's just, it's this need and this pressure that we put on ourselves to be more, do more, and have more. But if you remove the time frame from that, and you're like, cool, I don't need to be successful today, I've got 20 more years, it's not that stressful. It's just really challenging to do that.
It is.
It's really challenging. Like, dude, I'm speaking to myself right now. Like, I would not be stressed if I gave myself 10 years to like grow empowered man, but I wanted it done 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. You know? So identify that you have it. Identify what it feels like in your body physically. Yeah. And then identify what the stories and thoughts are in your head. What are you thinking about? What are you focusing on? Where's your energy going? and then redirect that, you know?
Yeah.
If the focus is, I'm stressed because I had a hard day at work, literally just reframe it. Reframing, we teach in Empowered Man. It means shift the story. Oh, I need to go to work. It's like, dude, there's a fucking recession here. I've got a job. I'm not in Africa. I don't have like a $5 a week wage. I'm on 120 grand a year. I've got a business that, even though it's stressful, I fucking control. Like, you just start having these conversations with yourself, and you can't have that story alongside the old one.
Yeah.
You can't believe your business is a stressful prison when you're also focusing on how that business has allowed you to buy property and provide for your family. You can't have both.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
So that's more of like the nuanced thinking pattern. But all of that's fine and well until you get punched in the face. Like, we talked about this last podcast, I think. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So the way you actually deal with the stress is what you do each day. It's the routines and habits that you do to slow down, zoom out, and like be zen. So what would those be for you, man? Like, talk through what we teach in the program, but like, what are the things you do each day to take control and like reset your physiology and your stress?
Yeah. Well, look, I think, you know, having a routine from the minute I wake up in the morning, I've got a purpose, and whether I'm stressed or not, like if I'm like, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm so unwell that if I get up right now, it's just not work. Sure, you listen to your body, but I push through, I get up and I do a routine, a simple routine that we teach in the program, you know, when I wake up and moving my body and, you know, what we talked about before, journaling thoughts and feelings, cold showers, you know, just investing in myself in that way. Then I go and work out. I've worked out a lot this week, and it's helped me manage a lot of stress, which has been awesome. But there's some things that are non-negotiable for me during my day. Like, you know, I meditate. There's times during the day where I zoom out and I refocus and I just recenter. And whether I get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, it's just, okay, cool, awesome. I've also got a lake across the road from my house, and, you know, in between calls, you know, we work a lot on Zoom, we work a lot on computers and technology. In between calls, you know, I am learning more and more the art of compartmentalization. And so when I click close Zoom room, it's like in my mind, I close the file so that I'm not taking maybe a stressful situation into the next call. So that I'm like, yep, cool. And we'll bring that out when we need to. But also taking those little moments throughout the day, it might be 5 minutes, it might be half an hour during my lunch break, and going and walking around the lake. Few laps around the lake, just getting outside in the sunshine most of the time in Adelaide, and just being, you know, and if I'm feeling extra stressed, I might put a walking meditation podcast on, something like that, to just be.
But how do you explain that though to somebody listening to this? Because like, you and I understand what that means because we teach it, but like, for a busy, successful, egotistical, stressed out man who operates and thrives under pressure, the idea of slowing down can be quite painful. Like, just to think about, like, if I slow down, shit's going to break, you know? So like, how does somebody just be when their mind's going 1,000,000 miles an hour and they're chronically stressed, and that's their operating system? Yeah.
It's interesting because when you say that, the analogy that comes to mind is when my petrol light comes on my car, say like, come on, refuel, I can push it and it tells me how many kilometers I've got left, and I can just push it. Eventually I'm going to have to stop to refuel, or I'm going to be stopped, and it's going to cost me a lot more in order to get the fuel. It's going to cost me, you know, it's in Adelaide, it's called the RAA, you know, the roadside mechanics to come and, you know, or someone to come and bring me some fuel. It's going to cost me a lot more if I'm forced to stop. But refueling the car, I still have to stop. I can't put petrol in as I'm going. And so I think for us, it's realizing that when we stop and when we refuel and refocus, it might be 5 minutes. It might be half an hour. That enables us to grow our capacity and step up even more and be, you know, like imagine if we took 5 minutes a day in our lunch break or at a time at work, and we utilize that time to refuel ourselves, to refocus ourselves. And then as a result of that, you got home at the end of the day, and when you walked through the door, you weren't feeling that stress as much. You weren't feeling as triggered, and you have a better night. Like, it'd be so worth it investing that time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And refueling.
Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. So if you're chronically stressed, triggered, taking it on your wife, there's only one way you can change that, which is doing something. But then the problem is we have this perception that the doing takes up too much time, and therefore we can't afford to slow down. But when your wife leaves, you're going to have to slow down. When you have a mental breakdown or you get chronically ill, you're going to have to slow down. So it's like, I think and this has helped me a lot as well, is like, if you can reframe the slowing down as part of work, like part of being high performance as a father, husband, man, business owner, is being able to slow down strategically and treat it with the same respect as a meeting.
Yeah.
You know, you don't ever just not show up to a meeting in your business. You don't just not show up to work. I mean, sometimes you do. But the point is, like, you treat it with respect, and you're typically punctual, and that you put in time and energy into that. So if you can strategically do that each day, let's say you invest that 15 minutes during lunch. Maybe you're not even having lunch. But that 15 minutes, if done correctly, can give you another 4 hours of energy.
Yeah.
And you talk about capacity, like let's say you're working 12 hours a day, you're probably only productive for 3 of them.
Yeah, that's right.
What if you're productive for 9 and you weren't tired when you got home? So yeah, that's really powerful. And so you have a routine, you exercise, you zoom out. I think this is probably a good way to introduce the core 4 things we do at Empowered Man that you can use at home. So you got to think about stress as like, it's a buildup, right? It's a buildup of energy. So if you think about your phone, there's a phone battery, like at some point it's going to run out of energy, and it works both ways. At some point it's going to be too full to have anything new on it. Like a computer or a phone, like it runs out of space. If I keep putting water in this bottle, at a certain point it's going to overflow. And then when it overflows, it can cause some damage. Like if it gets on my electricity, it breaks things, right? So what we practice here that we teach our clients, and you can use at home, is there are 4 opportunities per day to slow down, zoom out. And when you zoom out, you get out of your head and your body, and you can see the situation from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Because think about it. What is stress really? It's your body going fight or flight, and it thinks a dinosaur's attacking you. It's ancient. It's there to protect us. We live in 2022 in Australia. Like, there's nothing fucking dangerous here. Except if you're like out late at night near junkies. Like, it's so you slow down and zoom out. So the first way we do that is a morning routine. Every morning you get up at the same time every day, and you move your body as soon as you get up. You don't just smash back a coffee, although I currently do. You go for a run, you exercise, you do some push-ups. Then you have a cold shower, right? That instantly gets you out of your head because you can't think when you're in a cold shower. And then you write down your thoughts, feelings, gratitude, and what you're going to do for the day. So like this, you choose to do this before you start stressing, before you start your day. You jump out of bed, you move your body. That gets your heart rate up, right? Releases endorphins, great drug. Then you get under a cold shower. Then you write down what you're thinking about. I'm thinking about how hard the day is. I'm thinking about all the shit I need to do. And what that does is it removes some of the weight. Like, you put it out there. Then you write down how you're feeling. I feel tired. And now you're addressing the feelings that subconsciously come out and hurt people.
Yeah.
So instead of me yelling at Rosie, instead I address the fact that I'm really stressed. And now at least I've like put it out there so I know what to expect. Then you focus on what you're grateful for. 3 things. You focus on how lucky I am to have my wife looking after me. You focus on your son taking on so your focus goes from the negatives to the positives.
Yeah.
And then you write down what you're going to do that day, which you plan the night before, which is the 4th step. So like before your day starts, you can do this in like 20 minutes. You can do it in an hour. You have this hour of power for yourself where you choose to like get your power back. Then throughout the day, there's 2 things you do. The first one is you slow down, zoom out, and meditate. Now, if you don't know how to meditate, just go on Google or YouTube and Google it. As a matter of fact, we'll share some of ours down below this video, wherever it is. But it's closing your eyes and zooming out. It's like, yes, I've got shit to do. Yes, I don't have time. I'm going to choose to make time. And you can do this in your car. You just jump in your car, you close your eyes, and you just breathe. There's many different types of breath. You can do deep breath work. You can just do 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. There's many types. And you just do that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Second thing you do throughout the day is exercise. This can be going for a walk, a long walk. It can be going to the gym. It can be going for a run, just getting your heart rate up.
Yeah.
And those are 2 ways that you detach from stress and you choose to get your body in a good state, because your state is your stress.
Yeah.
So you have a good routine, you start your day strong. Guess what? Life gets in the way, you get fucking stressed. While you're stressed, you choose, despite how stressed you are, to slow down, and you choose to move your body. You can do this in the morning and the evening, doesn't matter. And then in the evening, the final thing is to take this all together and to reflect on the day. You know, like every night, I write down what I did that day. I've got a formula for it. It's called the evening reflection. We teach it to our clients. I write down what triggers came up, what disempowered me. I write down how I felt, and then I plan the day ahead. So I know what I'm doing the next day. I know what time I'm waking up. I know what time I have my meetings. I know what time I'm working out. I know what I'm eating. And this takes about 10 minutes a night, and most men don't do it. But when you plan tomorrow today, that removes some of the stress, because stress is overwhelm. And overwhelm is simply low clarity and high demand, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know really what we're supposed to do. We're scattered. We're getting pulled in all these directions. Low clarity, high demand. There's so many things to do. So you plan the day. I'm going to do these things. You have clarity. There's a lot of things to do. I'm focusing on these ones that are demanding my attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so that way you have the morning where you reflect on thoughts and feelings. You look at what you're going to do for the day, clarity. Throughout the day, you are going to get stressed because you're a human. You slow down, you breathe, you move your body. At the end of the day, you look at what happened, you plan the next day. So now you have 4 touch points a day to be in control. Now this takes time. You're investing time, but typically when you do this, you save 10, 20 hours a week because you're more organized.
Oh, yeah. You're
more productive, you know? And this is the thing, like, there's many other ways you can remove stress, but those are the ones that have worked for me. You know, those are the most important ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Beautiful. No, that's
just
perfect.
Took over.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool. Amazing. All right, cool. So I think we'll end it at that. So if you are a man dealing with stress, you feel this pressure within you, maybe you're trying to provide for your family and you don't feel appreciated or loved at home. Maybe the stress has caused you to have a divorce and you realized when it's too late. Or maybe you're just a driven man and things aren't that bad for you, but you're constantly under pressure. The first step here is to understand that you get to acknowledge that. Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Share it with your loved ones. Share it with your friends. Like, I'm under stress. Say it like that. Like, I'm fucking stressed. Step 2, identify what that feels like. Like, write it down. I feel these things in my body. Step 3, what was step 3? Step three was make time. I've forgotten it now. Anyway, step 3, identify how you're dealing with it. Identify the coping mechanisms you're currently using, you know, and then reframe the stories. Identify the thoughts and feelings and then reframe them. Focus on the positives. And then whether it's 1 or 4, you can use all 4 of ours. Find at least one thing each day you can do in the morning and in the evening, and hopefully during the day, to just slow down and zoom out and to look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So if stress for you is like you're at your office, at your desk, you're staring at the computer, it's been 4 hours, you're fucking, stand up, stand to the side and look at that situation from a different angle. Get outside and go for a walk. Do something to shift your state, your environment, your physiology, and understand that this doesn't happen overnight, but if you put in the effort, it will change the way you do stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Anything you want to add in before we finish up?
Just to say that, yes, implementing things like that it is time, and it's easy to look at it and go, oh, I don't have the time to do that. But the return on investment, I mean, we hear our clients' stories and our stories as well. The return on investment is huge. We've got more capacity, we've got more ability, we've got more time, a most precious resource. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Like, life's too short to feel this way. And I've been feeling it a lot the last 4 weeks. Like, the time invested to fix it is so important. Because, like you said, with the car analogy, like, whether we slow down or not, we're going to be forced to refuel.
Yeah.
So it can happen when it gets too late, or it can happen today when you listen to this. So we'll leave you on that. Like, what are you going to do today to acknowledge and then work on your stress? You're not alone, but it doesn't change unless you do something about it. So what are you going to do about it? All right. I hope that adds some value to you guys. If you got value from this, wherever you're watching it, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below if you can. And we will see you for the next episode, where we'll be talking about more strategies and tactics on how to be a high performance husband, father, man, business owner, and how to have it all in your health, wealth, and relationships. Take care, guys. Hey, brother, I hope you got a ton of value from that podcast. If you would like to work with us personally and get some of the best content we've launched for our clients who invested thousands of dollars, then go and complete our 7-day Empowered Man Challenge. This mission will completely transform your life. If it doesn't, you won't have to pay a cent. It's only $37, and it is game-changing if you want to take back control. So if you want to find balance between business, family, and life, if you want the relationship, the health, the wealth that you deserve, then go to elitebusinessman.com/challenge. That's elitebusinessman.com/challenge, and take up this challenge to take back control of your life.